Today is May the 22nd, year 2017, calendar of Pope Gregory. We're here with the Arizona Stands folks here at the offices of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Phoenix, Arizona. We're sitting here now in the patio. It's only slightly getting a little bit warm here in Phoenix, Arizona. Only 100 degrees today.
It's a little bit.
But we have delivered a petition, which you're looking at now on your screen, which was delivered by the Arizona Stands folks to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The theme of today's action is Unite the Fight. Hell no, we won't let it go. And we're talking about from North Dakota to Arizona, from the Dakota Access Pipeline to the South Mountain 202 Freeway. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is involved in this permitting process. So this is Nan. Nan, introduce yourself and tell us what we're doing here, and then you can go ahead and read the permit, the petition.
Hi everyone, my name is Nan Pham, and we're out here opposing the Loop 202 expansion freeway. The freeway is being built without the consent of the Gila River Indian community, and we're here to take a stand. So I'm going to read out the petition. So in attendance at the public hearing of May 9th, 2017, regarding the Loop 202 South Mountain Freeway project, where the entire body of participating members of the Gila River Indian community voiced their opposition to the South Mountain 202 Freeway project, including a direct request from Governor Stephen R. Lewis for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to deny the permit for the project as it affects the sacred world waterways of the original nations of indigenous peoples of the often Jeved territories, and is a violation of the public trust of the constituencies under the purview of protection of the Corps of Engineers. We stand in solidarity with the Gila River Indian community and call on the project manager, Jesse Rice, to recognize and respect the fact that the project as presented is in violation of the right of free, prior, and informed consent, Article 32 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and therefore must not be approved without a full and competent review in the spirit of truth and justice of the violations of the civil rights, environmental justice rights, human rights, and rights as indigenous peoples affected by the South Mountain 202 Freeway project to be realized with the guarantees of full disclosure, transparency, and due process under the principle of equality under the rule of law.
Okay, introduce yourself, please.
Hi everybody, my name is Shane. I am from the Navajo Nation. I am here to show support with the Arizona Stands. I'll read the second half of the letter for you guys. In a sad experience in a public hearing on May 5th to become informed of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer project manager had not nor familiar with the UN's Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, adopted in the UN on September 13th of 2007, in spite of the fact that the U.S. government in preparation before the UN continues to falsely proclaim that folk tongue fashion of the has been honored and implemented across the country in the minimum standards of friendly relations among the original nations of indigenous people and the federal agencies of the U.S. government.
Hello.
Introduce, please.
Hello, my name is Naylene from Arizona Stands, and we're here, and I'm going to continue reading the petition. So this message is not being submitted in hostility but in honesty. Shall the historical patterns of the colonization,
institutionalized racism,
discrimination, and
marginalization.
Sorry, I'm all nervous.
That's all right.
I can't read. Continue to deny our relationship as settlers, states, and original nations, or as we have been praying all along for
millennia
at the sacred sites of Modoc. Shall we final And shall we finally and for the first time discover our ways, I don't know how to say it. Himda. Our brothers and sisters are common humanity of Mother Earth as as people equal to all our people.
All other peoples.
All other people. Sorry. So that is the position.
Read the last one, please.
Okay. So we deny the consent to the South Mountain Loop 202 Freeway project and call for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to deny the permit application.
Okay, a little bit about Arizona Stands. What's going to follow after this meeting?
Okay, so Arizona Stands, we stand with our indigenous peoples here in Arizona, protecting the standing up for environmental justice, rights, civil rights, our human rights, so indigenous rights. So we work with other groups to stand up for the Gila River Indian community. We are helping them spread the word about stopping the Loop 202 that is in violation of the rights and water rights.
It's going to desecrate the sacred site, the Moadog, the South Mountain is a sacred site for the autumn, right?
Yes.
But Arizona Stands, we got started a few months ago, let's say with the fight at Standing Rock, right? That was a big part of what got it off the ground. Tell us a little bit about those first days of Arizona Stands. What happened in the beginning?
Arizona Stands at Loop 202?
What did you know for the Standing Rock?
We took the fight to Arizona and we did some marches and some walks, and we spread the word across the city here in Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale, spreading the word and also,
the reservations too,
Yes. So we've been working hard to spread the word for that, and we even went to one of the presidential candidates' rallies and got a lot of feedback from that. We're working hard and standing in solidarity with our indigenous people.
So it's a movement, Arizona Stand is a movement here based out of the Arizona territories, the Autumn Jeved territories. And the Autumn, they call it the Jeved, the Autumn Jeved territories. Most people just know Arizona, but there's more to it than that,
Yeah.
Lately, Nan, would you hold the camera for me? We also want to report today that we made it known to the Arizona offices of the Army Corps of Engineers that hell no, we're not going to let it go. We understand that Mr. Trump told the FBI director to just let it go. The investigation into the collusion charges regarding his office, his campaign, his wife, his dog, whatever, and the officials of the Russian government. We told the FBI director to just let it go. Today we asked the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in Phoenix, hey, what about you guys? The FBI guy said no, he wasn't going to let it go. We understand that there was a directive, according to due process, that was called for an environmental impact statement. As of December, that due process procedures fairly and equally, in equality and fairness, right? That environmental impact statement should have been fulfilled, should still be going forward. But what happened? When January, Mr. Trump, the Trumpudo, like we call him in my community, he took the reins of the federal government. He sent a directive to the Army Corps of Engineers to expedite and approve the process of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Then what happened? They let it go. They didn't do what Mr. Comey did. They let it go. They let go the legal, moral, ethical obligations and also the violations against the rights of Mother Earth by allowing the project to go forward in violation not only of all of the statutes that are now in court. The permit is not legal yet. Doesn't have its legality because it's still being fought in court. The processes have not been fulfilled. And even though somebody, it wasn't a Comey, but somebody in the Corps of Engineers decided to let it go because Mr. Trump gave them a directive in January to facilitate and approve the permit, that doesn't make it a legal permit. Even if they delivered a piece of paper to the corporation, that doesn't make it legal. It has to go through a fair and equal process where all treated with equality and justice. That's what justice is, fairness and equality. That didn't happen. It didn't happen with the 2020 Freeway. We presented this information to the director, to the charge of the Corps of Engineers here in Phoenix. We asked him, have you even read it? Are you familiar with the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples? He hadn't even read it, didn't even know about it. Therefore, the question being, in the state of Omaha, in the capital, in the region of the Dakota Access Pipeline for the Corps of Engineers, which is Omaha, are they even cognizant? Do they haven't even taken into consideration the right of free, prior, and informed consent on the Dakota Access Pipeline permit as a procedure? We demand, we command that the environmental impact statement include that part of our environment, which means the right of our indigenous nations in a rights holder position. I'm going to say it again. We're not just stakeholders. We have a rights holder position. Why? Because we have the responsibility to the sacredness of the water, the World Water One that comes in the Missouri, the Great River, and also the rivers of all the territories of the original nations. And as water protector nations, we take that stand. We don't have to take it again. We've always been taking it. We will never not move away from that stand of being the water protector nation of Mother Earth, World Water One. And so we make the call once again in front of the Arizona U.S. Army Corps of Engineers office. Mr. Trump gave you a directive to expedite and approve that permit. That doesn't make it legal. That permit is not valid. It's not legal. And we demand that justice be brought forward because World Water One, water is life.
Water is life.
Water is life.